Hey guys, this is Jabari. Just going to give you some quick introductions to Starfall, the basic mechanics and the gameplay. Um, to start out, the concept Starfall is a collectible card game mixed with a tactical board game. It's played out on an 11 by 11 square board. Each player will choose 3 champions and they'll also build a 30 card deck. Your champions will become pieces that are moved out on the board and controlled by their respective players. Champions will have stats and abilities similar to an RPG. This means they'll be able to move, attack, they'll have range, health, things like that. The game is won by defeating all the enemy champions. Just a quick overview of the types of cards. There are 2 types of cards. There's skill cards and there are item cards. Skill cards will cost mana. Your mana starts at 3. You get an extra 1 every turn, so 4 the next turn, 5 the next turn. It maxes out at 10. And then you have item cards. Item cards will cost gold. Gold, you start out at 150. You get an extra 10 every turn. There are also other ways that you get gold that we'll talk about later. Items are subdivided into 2 different types. There are consumables, which play out in a similar mechanic to skill cards in the sense that once you play them, they go into your discard pile and they're gone from the game. There are equipment item cards, and those are attached to a champion for a certain amount of turns or uses, and that duration is notated as durability. Most equipment cards have 3 durability, which means you can use them for 3 turns. Just kind of jumping into how you get started with the game. You start with 150 gold, you start with 3 mana, those are your essential resources. You build that deck of 30 cards. Now you also take 5 cards from that 30 cards and you create what's called a signature deck. Now, the unique thing about that signature deck is you can only draw from it by paying 2 mana and 20 gold, and this can only be done once per turn, and that's the only way to draw from that deck. Now, this doesn't affect your normal draw from your main deck. Now, talking about the way you draw from your main deck, each turn you draw 1 card from the top of your main deck. The game is broken down into turns and rounds. It's important to kind of understand that. Essentially, player 1 has a turn, then player 2 has a turn. And both of those turns is what is called a round. So to kind of have it make sense, we want the game to last about 10 to 12 rounds. Now, as far as reading the cards, the red sticker accounts for durability. That's going back to those item cards I was talking about. The durability is the number of times an item card can be used before it has to be discarded. So for example, one item could have a durability of 3 and it could be a weapon, which means that if I use that weapon this turn, it will lose 1 durability. Items will not lose more than 1 durability in a turn. So if you use it at all that turn, it loses 1. Then the next turn, if you use it again, it loses 2. Next turn, if you use it again, if it had 3 durability, it's now lost 3 durability. It's sent to your discard piles. The blue sticker is the mana cost. So when you play a card, if it has a blue sticker of 3, that means you have to pay 3 mana to play that card. The orange sticker is the equipment type. There are 3 different types of equipment, which again are item cards. So for instance, there are weapons, there are armor, and there are accessories. So you can have, for example, one type of weapon, you can have a sword, you can have like an armor, a shield or something like that, and then you can have some boots that's an accessory. You can equip all of those at the same time. Now, the green sticker is what's called like a character specific card. For example, there's a character named Nia, she's a tank. If there's an N on that green sticker, that means only she can play those cards. Now, there are also stat specific, and there'll even be class specific that you won't see today, but you will see a couple stat specific things that will say either melee or range, which basically means if that champion is a melee character, if their range is 1 and they're clearly a melee character, they can use that, but nobody who's range can use that, and vice versa. If they're a ranged character, then they can use the ranged items and skills. Just another quick thing about the mechanics. These champions all go up levels. The way that they go up levels is by using either an ability or a skill, anything that costs mana. Each time they use something that costs mana, they get an experience point. Once you get 3 experience points, that champion will go up a level. When you go up a level, it essentially means that you get stronger. Their stats go up, their abilities go up, their health goes up, etc. There is an ability that all champions share, and that's called repositioning. Essentially what that means is if they don't take any actions, if they don't attack, they don't use abilities, they don't play cards or anything like that, if that one champion doesn't do any of those things, they can move a second time that turn. The last mechanic I want to talk about before we show you some gameplay is combos and triggers. Combos are essentially consecutive hits. A hit is anything that targets an enemy or deals damage to an enemy. To do a combo, these hits have to hit the same target. For example, I could attack with Nia, then I could attack with Imani, and then I could attack with Amelie. If all those attacks hit the same enemy, I will get a trigger. So your first 3 hits in a turn gets you a trigger. During that same turn, every subsequent 2 hits will get you a trigger. So in this scenario, after I've gained that first trigger, if I now play 2 offensive cards, as long as those hit that same target that I was using the combo on, I'll now get my second trigger for that turn. Triggers will be used for special abilities that each champion will have. So you can only hold up to 3 triggers. Also, just give a quick review over gaining and using gold. So you start out with 150 gold. You gain 10 gold every turn. When you level up a hero, you gain 50 gold. If you defeat an enemy champion, you get 100 gold. And then there are also various abilities and cards that will allow you to gain gold. All right, so here we have the game board. The pennies represent an impassable wall. So you can move between them on the diagonal here, but you cannot move between them on this horizontal and vertical when they're connected like that. The quarters represent trace particles. When your champion lands on the trace particle, you get +1 mana that turn. This does count as an action, so you can't use the reposition double movement to pick up the trace particles, and we'll reference that again. All right, and you have the 11 by 11 board. This spark here that goes to the second player, it's kind of to help their handicap. Player 1, which is me, will go first. So I position my champions anywhere on these first 3 rows closest to me. I'm gonna put my tank here. My tank is Nia, she'll be the rook piece. My bishop will be my support healer, Imani, and the horse will be my ranged damage dealer, Amelie. I'll place my people there. I have, we start with 3 mana, which will be the blue chips. We start with 150 gold. The red chip is 100, and then the white chips are 10. So we have 150 gold. We have our deck here, which is 25 cards, and we've taken 5 cards and put them aside for the signature deck. I've drawn 3 cards at the beginning of my turn. If I wanted, I could do a mulligan where I could shuffle these cards back in and draw another 3, but I like my hand, I'm gonna keep that. Just to reference these other little pieces here, we have dice representing the health of the different champions we have, and this teal color here is experience points, the pink is your triggers. All right, so now that I've finished my pre-game positioning, it'll be to player 2.
Yeah. So, at the start of my turn, I got my hand, draw the top 3 cards off my deck, and I will take the Spark. The Spark is a card that gives me +5 health and +1 mana for a single turn, and this I take to offset the advantage that player 1 has in going first. That'll go into my hand, and I will place my own tank, Bruchero, here. I will place Damu, my resource character, here. Damu has an ability to get me extra gold to use on items. And I will use my close range damage dealer, Gael, and place them here. And with that, I will give it back to player 1 to start the game.
Alright, so at the beginning of my turn, I draw a card. This first turn, I don't get any mana or any gold. So I've got 3 mana to start. I'm going to move Amelie, who has a move of 4. I'm going to move her 1 here to pick up that Trace Particle, which will give me +1 mana this turn. Now I'm going to move Nia up 1, 2, 3, 4 here to give me that other Trace Particle, which will give me another mana this turn. So now I have 5 mana this turn. I will play Mana Reactor, which costs 1 mana with Imani, which will cause my next 2 cards to be -1 mana this turn. So what I'm using is called an ability. Each champion has 2 abilities, and they can be done without cards, and it costs mana. So I paid 1 mana to do Mana Reactor. My next 2 cards this turn will cost 1 less mana. I'm going to play Unbreakable Will. I'm going to play 2 Unbreakable Wills. Unbreakable Will gives me +6 armor, but it is a card specific to Nia. With the N here, we see the green N means only Nia can use this. The blue 3 means that it costs 3 mana. But also remember that my next 2 cards will be -1 mana, so these both only cost 2. Okay, 2 and another 2. So she'll get +6 armor twice, which will count as 12 armor. I'll use a dice to represent that and place that here. So she'll get 12 armor. Now, anytime I use a skill or ability that costs mana, I get an experience point. So Nia will get 1, 2 experience points. And with that, I will also move up here, and then I will end my turn.
Okay. So, at the start of my turn, I will draw 1 card. And to start, I will... Okay, I'm going to use Damu, and I'm going to move him. He has a movement of 4. 1, 2, 3, and take this Trace Particle, which gives me +1 mana. I'm going to use one of these mana that I just earned to use Damu's special skill called Wealth. Wealth gains me 20 gold, so I'll add that to my total. I will also use 1 to use Gael's ability, Shadow Step, which enables him to go into stealth for 2 turns. Gael has a movement of 5, so I will move him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. I will then move Bruchero, my tank, up 2. 1, 2. And I will pay 1 mana to use Bruchero's ability, Soul Siphon, which has a range of 2. So I may go 1 and 2. We will take 2 health from Nia and transfer it back to Bruchero. Then I will play, using my last mana point, Quiet Strike. This is a card dedicated to Gael that allows him to attack and deal 4 damage while in stealth without breaking stealth. This card, because it's a skill card, is discarded immediately after playing. Gael will thus do 4 damage to Imani. Next, I will have Damu using his last movement move here. I will pay 140 gold to equip Damu with the Demon Sword. The Demon Sword is an item that allows him to gain +2 attack, and his attacks will now drain health. So I'm going to equip him with this. It has a durability of 3, as specified by the red sticker, and Damu will deal 4 damage to Nia. However, Nia has a passive ability called Retribution, which means that all melee attackers take 1 damage in return. However, as Damu deals 4 damage and drains life with his Demon Sword, it does not cause him any adverse effects this turn. I will also give all of my characters 1 experience point. Bushero for using Soul Siphon earlier, Damu for using Wealth, and Gael for using Shadow Step to go into Stealth. But in addition, because Gael had used a skill card, the Quiet Strike, he will gain 2. With that, I will end my turn.
Alright, so this is my second turn as player 1. I will receive 1 mana, so now I'm at 4. It was at 3, and now I'm at 4. I draw a card, and I also get 10 gold. I will pay 120 gold to equip Lion's Armor, which gives her +7 armor and also causes her to fight melee attackers. This basically means that when somebody attacks her in melee range, she will deal her attack damage back. So first we'll give her 7 armor, so now she's at 13. And then I'll also pay 1 mana, use Noble Defense. It's one of her abilities, and it will cause her to gain 2 armor, so now she's at 15 armor. I will also pay 2 more mana to use Greed, which gets me +50 gold. Greed is a skill card that costs mana, and Noble Defense is an ability that costs mana, so I get experience points for both of those. That first experience point is my 3rd, which causes me to go up a level. So she's at level 2 now, and then I get 1 more experience point. I'll move Amelie here, I'll move her 2, and then another 2, so she's here. Diagonals are 2 spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can move through diagonally, simply can't move through horizontally. I'll pay my last mana to use Amelie's ability, Snipe, which gives her +1 range. She normally has 3 range, now she has 4. And I'll use that range of 4 to attack Damu. Is 1, 2, 3, 4 range. So Damu will be dealt 3 damage by Amelie. Then I will also use my basic attack with Nia, which will cause 3 damage because she went up a level, and so we'll also do 3 damage against Damu with Nia. And then I'll move Amani here, I'll move her up 1 space, and I will cause her to also do her basic attack against Damu. She has a range of 3, so that'll be another 2 damage. And each one of these basic attacks count as a hit. Anytime that you deal damage to or successfully target an opponent, it counts as a hit. And consecutive hits against the same target cause you to do combos. So that those first 3 hits get you what's called a trigger. That's this pink thing here. And once you reach level 2, triggers allow you to use certain special abilities. I'm going to use one on Nia, which is called Heroic Challenge. It has a range of 1 and it has a cooldown of 1. A cooldown of 1 just simply meaning that she can't use it every turn. She can only use it every other turn. So I'm going to pay that trigger, and I'm going to use Heroic Challenge to taunt Damu. A taunt essentially means that he has to attack me his next turn. He has to attack me with at least a basic attack, and he cannot target any other character. And now that I've completed all of those movements, my turn is complete.
Okay. Now that it's my turn, I will take 10 gold to start and draw 1 card. Because Damu must attack Nia, I'm going to attack once more. His attack does 4 damage to Nia, and he takes 1 damage back because of Nia's passive. Because Nia has equipped the Lion's Armor, whenever a melee attack is done to her, she does damage back to her attacker. Nia's current attack damage is 3, thus negating Damu's ability to heal himself this turn. I will now move Gaio here, and I will move Bruchero here. Bruchero will now attack Imani directly for 1 damage. He will also use 1 mana to cast Soul Siphon on Imani, which takes 2 health from her. He will gain another experience point for this action. I, using Damu, will play the skill card Treasury, which costs 1 mana and earns me 50 gold. This will gain Damu another experience point. I will end my turn here.
All right. One little addition. All the equipment has durability, like we've stated. So here you'll see the red 3, indicating durability of 3. So when Nia was attacked, it took 1 durability away from this Lion's Armor. Anytime an item is used, it loses 1 durability. It cannot lose more than 1 durability per turn. So even if multiple people attack Nia, she would still only lose 1 durability on that armor. So now this armor now has 2, and that's what these little tokens mean here. Alright, so at the beginning of my turn, I draw a card. I get 10 gold. I get 1 mana. So this is my 3rd turn, so I'm now at 5 mana. I'm going to play Mana Reactor. Mana Reactor is an ability of Imani. Your next 2 cards cost -1 mana this turn. This ability does have a cooldown of 1, which means I used it on my 1st turn, thus meaning that I couldn't use it on my 2nd turn. But now that it is my 3rd turn, it's off cooldown and I'm going to use that ability again. This is the 2nd time Imani has used an ability, which is causing her to get her 2nd experience point. And cards this turn will cost me 1 less mana. I'm going to play Greed, another Greed card. Also another note, I'm not sure if I mentioned yet, you can only have 2 of a single card in your deck. So basically meaning, regardless of how many cards I own, I can only have 2 Greed cards in this deck. It's my 2nd Greed card. Normally would cost me 2 mana, but it only cost me 1 because of Mana Reactor. So I'll pay 1 more mana, and that's gonna give me 50 gold. Also, I forgot that whenever a champion goes up a level, you get 50 gold. So last turn Nia went up a level. We're supposed to collect 50 gold for that. So I'll do that right now. And now I will play another equipment card called Excalibur, and I will place that on Nia. Now, Excalibur is, for one, I want you to notice that it's a melee card. So Nia is melee because her range is 1. And we know that by the green melee sticker here, range is 1. It has a durability of 3, so it can last for 3 turns of use, and it costs 170 gold. Also, I want to notice the orange sticker, WPN, that's weapon. So any champion can have 3 different types of equipment on. So if we look at what she already has, she has Lion's Armor, but that's an armor, and this is a weapon. So she can use both of them at the same time, but you can't have 2 types of armor or 2 types of weapon on at the same time. So I'm going to pay that 170 gold here. So I'm going to use most of my gold there to equip Excalibur. Excalibur is going to give her +5 attack and +3 move. And she is going to attack Damu with her basic attack. This is going to cause Excalibur to lose 1 chip. And it's going to cause her to deal 8. Also, when I played gold, that experience point, essentially I can have anybody use that skill that I would like, and I will have that experience point go to Imani. So she'll be up a level. So she's going to be at level 2. she's going to gain, I'm going to gain 50 gold when she goes up that level. Now Amani is going to move 1, 2, 3, and she's going to attack, use her basic attack of 3 against Damu. And then Amelie is going to move 1, 2, 3, 4, and use her basic attack of 3 to defeat Damu. This was also 3 consecutive hits, which is going to grant me another trigger. And I'm going to use my snipe ability on Amelie, which gives her +1 range. I don't need it, but it will give her an experience point. And I'm also going to use her other ability. It has a cooldown of 1, but I haven't used it yet. And that's called evasive maneuvers. So whenever she lands an attack in a straight line, she just landed an attack that was in a straight line on that diagonal. It causes her, she moves back in a straight line in the opposite direction. So she'll move back here. And with that, I will end my turn.